Alright, hey guys, what's going on? This is Space here. Welcome to a very special video. Oh yeah, dudes. So I just wanted to spend a video, just take the time to talk about one of my passions, which is movies. I absolutely love movies. And recently I've been trying to catch up on some movies that I've missed over the years, some great movies and stuff that I missed. And I actually made a list of movies that I wanted to watch back a couple of years ago, and I actually am about 75% done with that list. It's a pretty short list. It's only like 21 movies on there. So I've watched pretty much most of them, which is pretty awesome. So, and then I made another list, which is a lot longer. It's probably like 80 movies, something like that. It's a lot of movies, so it'll take a while to get through all those. But yeah, there have been like tons of movies I haven't seen yet that I have missed out on, that I've been going back and watching them, and some movies that I've been wanting to see for a while, and finally have the chance to see it now. Alright, so I just wanted to take the time to talk about my 30 favorite movies. Oh yeah, so there are probably a bunch of movies that I forgot while I was making this list, and there are a bunch of movies that I have not seen yet. If you guys have any recommendations for movies that I should check out, feel free to put a comment in the comment section below, and when I watch it, I'll let you guys know what I think. So yeah, okay. So alright, let's go ahead and dive right in, shall we? Oh, before we do that, actually, I have one rule for this list. Now, I do have some franchises on here, so what the rule is that I will go through each movie more or less. There's one that I won't go through each movie because there's like 11 movies or something. So, but yeah, I'll go through each movie, say which one's my favorite, and then I'll say what I think about the other ones briefly. So yeah, there you go. All right, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alright, so here we go, number 30. Now, since this is a family-friendly channel, I'm just going to call this movie Inglourious, because, you know, why not, even though you can see the full title on the screen, but, you know, okay, anyways. But, yeah, so when I saw this movie, I was just, like, really impressed. This is a movie that I've been waiting to see for a while now. I remember seeing the trailer when it came out back in 2009, I think, so I was like, wow, this looks awesome, but there's no way I could see it, because I was like 10 years old, so yeah, my 10-year-old self couldn't handle this movie, I guarantee it. But anyways, so yeah, it's just a really fun movie, and it grabs you from the very beginning, holds you tight, and makes you just stay and watch the rest of it. Like, I watched it in 2 parts, and I really didn't want to, but I had to because it was late. I was like, alright, I gotta go to sleep. I was like, oh, but I want to watch the rest of this. But I didn't. I just watched it in 2 parts. But yeah, it just really holds you there. It makes you want to watch the entire thing. And it's really well written. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie, and personally, it's probably my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I haven't seen all of them though. I haven't seen Jackie Brown, Death Proof, or Pulp Fiction. Yes, I know. But I do have it, so I'll definitely watch it pretty soon. But you won't see Pulp Fiction on this list, sadly. But yeah, it's definitely an amazing movie. It's a very fun World War II movie, very stylized, and a lot different from a lot of the World War II movies that you'll see. So yeah, great movie. Alright, so at number 29 we have a classic and the oldest movie on this list, and that is 12 Angry Men. This movie is pretty darn simple, but it's just really good and really well put together. Like, I mean the movie is basically pretty much performance based as well as like story based. There's not like a whole lot of stuff. Like, you have the one set, which is the jury room, and you've got a couple of other sets. Like, you've got the courtroom that you see in the very beginning, and then the last shot you see the outside of the court house. But other than that, you basically just have the jury room, and you've got these 12 guys in there that are jurors, and they're trying to figure out if this kid is innocent for killing his dad or not. And all of them vote guilty except for one, and it's the job of the person that did not vote guilty to convince everyone else to vote not guilty, because there's enough reasonable doubt, he thinks, and he's just not sure. And yeah, it's a very fun ride, really well done movie, and it's pretty simple, but it's just really good. And the use of the camera shots and stuff is really genius. Like, before, in the beginning, you have it where everything's like spaced out. You can see a lot more than just one person. And then towards the end, when things get really heated, you just get like super close-ups and stuff. And yeah, it's really genius and just a great movie. Definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a classic, man. You won't regret it. Alright, so at number 28, we have a movie that I regret to say that I've only just seen this year. I wish I would have seen this movie earlier, but I'd like to thank Mr. DVB for introducing me to this movie. He did a review on it a while back when his old channel was still up. I don't think it's on his new channel, but he did a review of this movie, and I was like, you know what, I gotta watch this movie. It sounds pretty awesome. And I did, and that is Memento. Alright, so Memento is basically the first Christopher Nolan movie. Now, you've got 2 other ones that he made that are basically just like student films. I don't think they were shown in theaters. So yeah, you've got Memento, and wow, just such a fun movie, and just like a really thought-provoking movie. So you have to think through everything and piece everything together. It doesn't give you straight answers, and it has a unreliable narrator, so you're not really sure who to trust and who not to trust, and like just a bunch of different stuff. It's really fun. It's a great movie, and like I said, very thought-provoking, just like a lot of his movies, which is always good. It's always good to see, like, you have these dumbed-down action movies, which are fun to watch, but they don't really provoke any thought, and then you've got these Christopher Nolan movies, which really make you think, and as soon as the credits roll, you're still thinking, your mind's racing, so very good movie. I absolutely love it. It's got some great actors, it's got some really awesome scenes, some great performances and stuff, and yeah. And it also uses reverse storytelling, where some scenes like explain how he got there, while like the previous scene he's there, and then the scene after that is the scene that explains how he got to that moment. So yeah, it's just a genius film and very fun film. Alright, so at number 27 we have the first animated film on this list, and that is Ratatouille. Now, I had a friend once that said he didn't like this movie. Haven't seen him since. No, but seriously, this movie is very good. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, dude, I want to become a chef, and I tried to do that for like maybe like half a year, and I was like, you know what, never mind. But yeah, it was just like, such a good movie. And like the soundtrack, probably one of my favorite Disney soundtracks. It's got some really awesome music to it. And the performances are really well done. You've got amazing voice actors in this movie. And just everything was really well done. Like the visuals look amazing. The animation, of course, really well done. Of course, because it's Disney Pixar. I mean, what else can you expect? And yeah, I really like the story too. It's like you've got this guy that doesn't know that he's related to this really famous chef guy. So he's just kind of on the lower level in a cooking situation. And then like, just yeah, and then you have a rat that knows how to cook and stuff, and it's got a good moral too. Don't judge a book by its cover, and like if you see someone, you don't know what they're able to do and stuff without like getting to know them beforehand and stuff. So yeah, it's a great movie. Alright, and at number 26 we have another animated movie, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved this movie when it came out, and I still do. I actually saw it twice in the movie theater, and I've probably seen it about 5 times now, even though it just came out in, I think it was 2016, the end of 2016, like in November, I think. But anyways, so yeah, that is Zootopia. This movie is just like a fun ride, man. You've got some great memorable characters, you've got a really good story, really well told, you've got some awesome voice actors, you've got some pretty darn good music as well, and the visuals look really nice. I don't know what it is about this movie, it just spoke to me. I was like, this is amazing. And I've when it first came out to DVD, I watched it like a couple of times, like yes, like back to back pretty much. So yeah, it's just such a great movie, and one of my favorite animated movies of all time. And it's just such fun to watch, and I really need to rewatch it. I mean, the last time I watched it was probably last month, so yeah, it's time for another watch. Is it time for another watch? Yeah, I need to get another watch. Yeah, and time for another viewing. Okay. So, alright, so at number 25, continuing on the theme with Disney movies and animated movies, we've got Mulan. Absolutely loved this movie as a kid, and I still do today, and the soundtrack is probably my favorite Disney soundtrack of all time. I listened to that soundtrack so much as a kid, like, I'll Make a Man Out of You, listen to that so many times. It's such a great song. And also, you've got some really awesome songs in there as well, like, I think it's called Mulan's Hair or something, where she's getting ready to go off to war. Such a powerful song, and it just makes me feel awesome, gives me goosebumps every single time I watch that scene. It's great, and it's got some great humor as well as some great dramatic parts and stuff. Tells a good story. I know it's a Disney princess movie, but it really doesn't feel like it, so yeah, it's just a great movie. Okay, so now moving on to number 24. This movie was a genre definer when it came out back in the 90s, the late 90s, well actually the end of the 90s, and that is The Matrix. Now, a lot of parodies have been made of this movie in several different cartoon shows, TV shows, movies probably too, and there's a good reason why. It's such a great movie. Like, I remember that one scene in Jimmy Neutron where they did the parody of that. That was pretty funny. But anyways, let's talk about the real movie, not the parodies. Okay, so yeah, this movie just got such a great and original story. Like, you have the idea of the human race has been basically taken over and is now like a bunch of batteries pretty much, and they're all in simulations so they don't wake up or anything. So yeah, just a very creative story. And you've got like this, you've got the character who doesn't know that like he's the chosen one, and he believes that he's not the chosen one, which I thought was really well done. Because honestly, how many times do you see like the character, like just like an average character that isn't anything special and maybe the chosen one, but probably isn't? Like, yeah, that doesn't really happen too often. Usually you have the character like Superman or something. He's like, hey, I'm Superman, I'm gonna save the world and stuff. Yeah, Such a great movie, and the special effects are actually pretty good. Some of them are a little old, but for the most part, they're actually really good, and they still hold up to today's standards. And like the action scenes are pretty awesome too. There's some pretty cool scenes in this, like when he stops all the bullets and stuff, when he dodges the bullets. The scene where they're like jumping across buildings and stuff. It's a lot of cool scenes in this movie. And yeah, it's just a really fun movie, well performed. It's got some interesting music as well that really fits to the feel of the movie, so that's good. And yeah, The Matrix. Okay, so at number 23 we have another Disney movie. That's right, I love Disney movies. Okay, so now we have Aladdin. Now this movie, I can watch it so many times. Like all of these movies, I can honestly watch after, like, as soon as I watch it, I can put it in again and watch it again and not get tired of it. That's how much I love these movies. But anyways, Aladdin, man, such a fun movie. It has a great story. Be yourself. That's the moral of the story. And yeah, it's a very creative movie, and one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, and personally what I think is one of the best Disney movies of all time. And you've got some great actors in this movie. You've got some really good sounds, really good music. I was going to say really good soundtrack, but okay. Yeah, just great movie. And personally, Aladdin is definitely one of my favorite Disney characters, as well as Genie. I mean, who doesn't love Genie? Okay, so now at number 22 we have Ghostbusters. This movie is a classic, and if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend checking it out. It's I like how it's like an origin story. It's like you have these two guys that believe that there are ghosts and want to prove it, and this one guy is a little skeptical, and then they go out and they find a ghost and stuff, and they try to capture it and stuff, and eventually they figure, hey, we can make a living off of this instead of like teaching and stuff, and they do that. And yeah, just very good movie. It's got some great comedy, some awesome scenes too, some super memorable scenes, like who can forget the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man scene, and you've got some great quotes as well in this movie. And yeah, it's just a fun movie. It's just a great movie to watch, especially during Halloween. I mean, I didn't watch it during Halloween, I kind of regret that, but I mean, yeah, it's just a great movie to watch. And I mean, who can forget that main theme? Great main theme. Alright, so now on to number 21 with, yes, another Disney movie. And that movie is Toy Story. And I've seen this movie so many times, like, it's one of my favorite movies. That's why it's on this list, because it's a list of my favorite movies, just in case you forgot. But, yeah, so when I rewatched this movie a while back, I was like, hey, you know what, I want to make an animated film like this. And yeah, it kind of inspired me to do that. I haven't made an animated film yet, but maybe one day I will. Who knows? But anyways, yeah, this movie is just such a great movie. It's a classic, man. I mean, you've got some great actors in this. You've got some great performances. Some pretty good music, too. I'm not personally the biggest fan of Randy Newman, but I think this soundtrack's pretty darn good. So, and I mean, the sequels are also pretty darn good, too. But personally, my favorite will always be the first one. It just has such a great feel. I mean, you've got the idea of this guy who's like the big shot in town, and then all of a sudden he gets replaced by this new shiny guy, and he just feels bad and stuff, and then they fight and stuff, and then they end up accidentally getting locked into like the villain's house pretty much, and yeah. And then they grow a bond through like a horrible experience, and they come back home and everything's all good. And there are some great and memorable moments in this movie. You've got the scene when they're in the machine, the claw machine, and Sid gets a toy, and then Buzz is attached to him, and Woody tries to pull him back and stuff, and they end up in Sid's house. And you've got like the scene where they're on the rocket and stuff. It's a iconic scene. And when they're flying or falling with style, and like the scene where Buzz like flies around the room, that was pretty awesome too. There's some awesome moments in this movie, and it's just a fun movie. Great, entertaining, family-friendly movie. Alright, now on to number 20, which is the Cornetto trilogy. And for those of you who don't know what the Cornetto trilogy is, it's not really like a trilogy, like where everything is connected. But there are some references that are made throughout the trilogy. But yeah, it's just the trilogy that has Simon Pegg and Nick Frost as the main characters, and it's directed by Edgar Wright, and it also is written by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. So yeah, those are 3 movies, which you've got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Now personally, I really like all of these movies. I think they're hilarious and really well made, but my favorite is Hot Fuzz. Personally, I really like buddy cop movies. I think they're great because you have like these two guys that mesh well together, or maybe they don't mesh well together, and in the end they do. Like they understand each other and stuff. Just some great movies. And this is probably one of my favorite buddy cop movies, and it's just so funny and just full of so many great moments as well, and some really awesome action scenes. And Edgar Wright is the master when it comes to like editing and stuff. He's got some really awesome transitions and stuff in these movies, and yeah, just some really good stuff. And the story is honestly really well written. It's like really smart. It's like a mystery, and it is pretty hard to like figure out who did it and stuff. It's like a really well written mystery. So yeah, and it's not just a mystery too. It's a comedy, so it's got some great elements of both in them. So yeah, Hot Fuzz, man, such a great ride. And okay, so now on to number 19, which is a franchise film series thing. And that franchise is Mission Impossible, man. These movies are so great. They've got some awesome scenes in them, like some super unforgettable scenes that will stick with you for the rest of your life. Like some super awesome set pieces and stuff. Just great stuff. And it's got a good story too, all of them do. And a really good soundtrack as well. Like that theme, oh, so good. So personally, my favorite is Rogue Nation, which is the latest one, and it's pretty impressive to see that the series is still going strong after 5 movies. It's still staying fresh, which is very good. It's kind of hard to do that with a franchise, and Mission Impossible has managed to continue to keep it fresh, so that's great. And yeah, the 5th one is my favorite. I also really like the 4th one. That's the one that got me introduced to it. Like, I saw it on TV, I was like, this is awesome, I gotta watch the rest of them. I did, and then it just happens that Rogue Nation was released like pretty much right after I watched all of them. And yeah, it was great. And besides 4, I also really like 3. I know that's probably not the most popular opinion, but honestly, I don't know what it is. I just really like 3 for some reason. Philip Seymour Hoffman is a really good villain in that movie, and yeah, it's just a very fun movie. I like the "We Are Family" scene; that's pretty funny. And yeah, the second one wasn't my favorite. I've only seen it once though, so maybe I have to watch it again. But I thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. And then the first one is classic. Like, you've got the scene where he's like ziplining, or not ziplining, like I don't know what that's called, dangling into the room and stuff. Iconic scene. You've got like that scene with the helicopter towards the end of the movie. That was really cool too. And yeah, some great movies right there. But the 5th one is my favorite. I mean, like the 5th one, like you have that motorcycle scene. That was really cool. And then you've also got that scene where they're like in the theater, the opera house, and oh, that scene was also really cool. So yeah, very fun movies, very cool movies, and they do have some good stories too. Alright, here we go, another franchise. Alright, so at number 18 we've got Pirates of the Caribbean, specifically the first one. The first one is my favorite, and honestly I don't think it's possible to top that movie in the series. I mean, there have been some good movies in the series, but that one is personally my favorite, and I think it is the best of the series. It's just such a great movie. It's got an awesome cast of characters. You've got Will Turner, you've got Captain Jack Sparrow, probably one of the most epic Disney characters there is. You've got Elizabeth Swann, who's a pretty cool character as well. You've got just a lot of characters, man. Some really cool characters. And there are even more cooler characters introduced in the later films. Like, you've got Davy Jones, who's a super awesome villain. Very scary man with tentacles and stuff. Very scary. And yeah. So then, besides that, like, you have the second and third one, which were pretty good. I enjoyed those. The third one, the biggest part of it is like the battle at the end, which is like super epic. You've got like the whirlwinds pool toilet bowl thingy, like the ships are rolling around it and stuff. That was really cool. And throughout the series there's some pretty awesome sword fights as well. Like that final fight in the first one is just so good, very iconic as well. And yeah, the rest of them are pretty good as well. The fourth one was okay. It wasn't my favorite. One of the reasons I didn't like it as much because it didn't quite have all of the characters that we've known and loved from the original 3. Like, you don't have Will Turner, you don't have Elizabeth Swann, you do have Mr. Gibbs, and you do have Barbossa, so that was good. That was nice to see them back. But and you've got like some of the side characters that you're used to seeing on the side, like that short guy, I don't know what his name is, the guy with the one eye, and then the other guy with the longer hair. I don't know what their names are either, but they do have names. I checked one time. But yeah, still pretty cool. I think Blackbeard was a pretty cool villain as well. And the final fight was pretty awesome as well. We have like the 2 cups and stuff, and then like they do the old switcheroo and whatnot. So yeah. And then the 5th one was pretty darn good as well. I think the first one is still better, but the 5th one was definitely a good addition to the series. And I gotta say, it was really cool seeing a young Jack Sparrow as well. I hope they do more with that. That'd be pretty awesome. And also, who can forget that awesome soundtrack by Hans Zimmer? I mean, you've got some really awesome scenes in the first movie, and carrying on for the rest of the movies as well, but I think the first movie has some of the best music. I mean, there is that organ music from the second one where it's Davy Jones' theme. That's really, really good. But, I mean, like, if I ever, like, I sometimes just listen to soundtrack music, and usually that's one of my go-tos. So, yeah, Good stuff, very good stuff. Alright, so at number 17 we have Peter Pan, the original Peter Pan, the Disney animated Peter Pan. I know there's been more than just the Disney animated one, but yeah, this one, oh, it's such a great movie. It has a lot of nostalgia for me. I used to watch this all the time when I was a little kid, and I always wanted to be Peter Pan. I used to run around with the Peter Pan hat on in my house and pretend that I'd like be flying and stuff, and I also used to dress up as Peter Pan for Halloween on a couple of occasions. So yeah, I just really love this movie. It's a childhood movie of mine, and yeah, it's a great movie. It's a classic, man. I mean, who doesn't like Peter Pan? Alright, up next at number 16 we have another Christopher Nolan movie, which is Inception. This movie is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, this is one of my favorite movies by him. It's just really well done. It's got some awesome scenes. It's got a really good story. It's like super trippy and stuff. Like, you have dreams inside dreams inside dreams. It's like, what? And it's great. It's really creative too. A very creative movie. You've got a super awesome cast. I mean, you've got Leonardo DiCaprio as the main lead, and he is one of my favorite actors, so that was great to see him in this movie. You've got Ellen Page. You've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You even got a short appearance from Michael Caine, which was pretty awesome to see, because he's in all of the Christopher Nolan movies. Well, not all of them, pretty much most of them. You've got Tom Hardy as well, and you've got just a great cast in this movie. It's got some really epic music by Hans Zimmer once again. Like I think it's called Persistence of Time or something like that. It's like super awesome. And there's some other really memorable themes in this movie as well. It's just such an awesome movie. There's some really cool visuals, like when they're in the city and stuff, like everything's all bendy and stuff. That was really awesome. And that fight scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or aka Arthur, when he's like fighting that one guy and the room's like all spinning and stuff, that was really cool as well. I think they actually did that too, so that's pretty awesome. Because Christopher Nolan likes to do a lot of stuff in camera. Like even like, you know, the scene in Interstellar where he goes through, Cooper goes through the black hole. They did that in camera. They went in, back out of camera or in post-production and edited that a little bit to make it look even cooler. But they actually did some of that stuff in camera, which I thought was pretty awesome. So yeah, this movie is really epic. It's really creative. It's got some awesome set pieces and some really cool action scenes. And yeah, it's just such a great movie. And it really makes you think at the end. Like that last scene, ooh, so good. Alright, so at number 15 we have, in my opinion, one of the greatest animated films of the 21st century, and that is The Incredibles. Who doesn't like this movie, man? It's so good. It's got the perfect mix of humor with dramatic moments, some really cool action scenes. You've got as well as family moments too, so that's pretty awesome. And it's a superhero movie. Who doesn't like superhero movies? And this is an animated superhero movie, which you don't really see that often, and it's one of Disney's only superhero movies, if you don't count the MCU. So yeah, it's just a great movie. It's got some awesome scenes, some very memorable scenes, some great quotes from the movie. It's got some awesome voice acting, some really awesome music, which just like makes you want to go out and do some stuff, just beat up crime and stuff. And so, I mean, what else can I say about this movie besides this is absolutely epic? Alright, at number 14 we have another franchise series. Alright, so this is The Lord of the Rings / The Hobbit. Now, alright, so personally my favorite movie out of all of these, if you want to count them all as together, is Return of the King. That movie is really epic. It's got some like super emotional parts, like the end, like super emotional. I was like, oh man. And it's got some awesome action scenes. It's got just like a good combination of humor, action, really emotional and powerful scenes and dramatic scenes. And it's got just like super epicness to it. Like just the whole thing is really epic. It's got a huge scope. And I really like the other Lord of the Rings movies as well, but this one personally is my favorite. And I think it is the longest one too. So yeah, these movies take a long time to watch, but they're definitely worth it. And you've got some really memorable characters as well. You've got some awesome quotes and stuff, and really well performed scenes. And yeah, just a very good movie. Very good series of movies, I should say. And then you've got The Hobbit as well, which I personally really like as well. Even though the last one is more or less just a big battle, and that's about it, really. But the other two are really good as well. And I was really excited when I first saw the trailer for the very first Hobbit movie in the theater, because I read the book and I was like, dude, it's happening. And yeah. And I really like Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins. He does an amazing job. He's a great actor, and he does an amazing job as Bilbo Baggins. So yeah, great movies. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 13, which is personally my favorite survival movie, and that is The Martian. One of the things I really like about this movie is that Mark Watney is just in such a bleak situation. Like, I mean, he's just stuck in the middle of nowhere in Mars, and he could, like, die at any minute. Like, anything could happen. Like, the Have could explode. He could, like, go out without his helmet. He could run out of food. Just, like, a bunch of stuff could happen, but he still stays positive. He still has a good sense of humor to everything. And it's got some really awesome scenes, like some funny scenes. You've got some really dramatic and sad scenes. got some emotional scenes, like when he first gets contact with actual humans, like he starts tearing up and stuff. It's a very emotional scene. And you've got some really fun uses of music, like the Waterloo, when he's tearing down the everything out of the rocket thing. I don't remember what it's called. But and you've got like Starman. That was a really awesome scene. I love that scene. And it was a very good use of music, and it's got some great music as well. So, yeah, very awesome movie. It's got some great characters as well, some awesome actors in this movie, and it just feels amazing. And this is a movie I can watch over and over and over and over and over again without getting tired of it. Okay, so at number 12, we have Back to the Future. Such a classic movie. And personally, the first one is my favorite, but I do like the other two as well. But this movie, is just so amazing. And honestly, I do hope that one day we get a Back to the Future Part 4, as long as it still has the same cast. I mean, if it doesn't, then no. But if it does, then sign me up. But yeah, this movie is just such an iconic movie, and it's been parodied time and time again with some popular cartoon shows, you know. But yeah, it's just got such a creative story, like the idea of this kid has to go back to the past and he meets his parents and he has to set up his parents, which I thought was a very creative idea. And the future, or not the, what am I talking about? The second one also very creative as well. Like this guy has to go into the future to fix his future. So yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Marty McFly and Doc Brown too? You've got some great characters in this movie, some iconic moments like the part in the beginning when they send Einstein in the DeLorean, and the scene towards the end where Marty's playing the guitar. He's like, "Oh, I guess you guys aren't ready for this yet, but your kids will love it." Yeah, some great quotable moments from this movie, and it's just a fun movie. It's a classic movie. You've got to see it if you haven't seen it. And yeah, that's about it for that. And alright, let's move on to number 11, which is another franchise film series thing. So we've got Jurassic Park, and personally, the first one is my favorite. The other ones are pretty good too, but the first one, perfect. Before I talk about the first one, I just want to talk about the other ones real quick. So the second one, it took me a while to actually really appreciate it, and honestly, I think it's pretty good. It used to be my least favorite, but now I think it's probably number 3 on my list of Jurassic Park films. But, yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's great to see Ian Malcolm back, and one thing I don't like about the movie is how they kind of changed Ian Malcolm. Like in the first one, he was like all fun and always the one who was cracking jokes and stuff. In this one, he doesn't really crack as many jokes, and you have some jokes, I mean, but I'm still okay with it, because I mean, they make him into kind of a cool guy and a family man and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And I guess it makes him more main protagonist for it, because I think in the first one, he's more of like a main side character, you know, kind of like he's a main character, but he's not the main character. And this one, I guess they wanted to try to make him just seem more like a main character and less like a side main character. You know, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But anyways, so then you have Jurassic Park 3. I used to love this movie as a kid. I honestly don't know why. I mean, I still like it, but it's definitely my least favorite. But it goes really fast too. There's some good moments in it, like the paragliding thing or whatever. And the airplane scene was pretty awesome. The scene where the Tyrannosaurus and the Spinosaurus are fighting is pretty awesome as well. And then like the scene where Alan is yelling at Billy, that was a really good scene as well. Very emotional scene. There's some good scenes in this movie and some good music as well. Like you see the return of some of the themes from the first one that you don't really hear as much in the second one. So that was nice. And you get to see the return of Alan Grant, which is great. Alan Grant is one of my favorite characters. I know not everyone likes him, but I personally do like Alan Grant. I think he's a pretty good character. And it was great to see him back in this movie. And it took me the longest time to understand that he and Ellie weren't married. Like, when I rewatched, I was like, wait, they're not married. Oh, I didn't realize that. And so now I felt really stupid. But honestly, why was that not a thing? Anyways, but yeah, it's a pretty good film. It's not the best one, but it's decent. And then you've got the newest one, which is Jurassic World, which I think was really well done. It's not as good as the original, but it's still pretty darn good. And honestly, it might be my second favorite Jurassic Park film. I thought it was just really well done. But anyways, let's go on to my favorite one, which is Jurassic Park. This movie, like a lot of the movies on this list, is an iconic movie. I mean, there's so many great moments in this, like the scene where the Tyrannosaurus gets out and they're in the cars and stuff, and then you've got the scene with the Velociraptors, like Clever Girl, and yeah, there's some great quotable moments as well, and I really like the characters in this. There's not a character that I don't like in this movie, and like even Dennis, I mean, he's not exactly the most likable character, but he's still a fun character. So yeah, some great characters in this movie, some really good soundtrack music. John Williams does an amazing job, like usual. So, yeah, very good movie. Alright, now before we get into my top 10, I'm going to do my honorable mentions. The first one is The Princess Bride, a very quotable movie. It's got some awesome scenes and stuff. It's just a great movie. I wish I could put it on this list, but unfortunately I just put it at the honorable mentions. But if I made a top 40 movies, then this would definitely be on there. And then at number 2 of the honorable mentions, we've got the Lego Movie. This movie is genius. It's got a great moral to the story. It's just a really fun movie to watch, and it also sparked a couple more Lego films which I thought was pretty great. So yeah, very good movie. And alright, so at number 3 for the honorable mentions, we've got Deadpool. Now, it's been a while since we've seen a R-rated Marvel film, and it was great to see the return of that. And Ryan Reynolds definitely proved that he is a great Deadpool. He's probably my favorite Deadpool actor. He's the only live action actor, but there are some like voice actors and stuff. But yeah, he's probably my favorite version of Deadpool. He does such a great job, and he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine. But we're gonna forget that, okay? But it just pokes fun at some other movies as well, and which is always great. And it's got some really funny moments, some like super awesome action moments. Like the part where he's counting off the bullets, that's a great scene. And yeah, just a lot of good scenes, a lot of fun scenes, some comedy and some dramatic scenes as well. Perfect mixture. And yeah. Alright, and now for the last honorable mention, which is one that I really wish I could have put on this list somewhere, but it was really hard deciding this list, and I decided just to put it at honorable mention. But this is Interstellar, another Christopher Nolan movie, and this one is absolutely mind-blowing. It's got a great cast of characters, and it's just really interesting to watch, and it explores a lot of interesting topics like time dilation and what would happen if you go through a black hole. A lot of cool spacey stuff, and I am space, of course, so of course I gotta like it. And yeah, it's just such a great movie. It's got some really powerful music to it too. Like the main theme is super powerful. I like the scene where Murph is like burning down the cornfield. That's a pretty powerful theme as well. I think it's basically pretty much the main theme, but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Alright, and kablamo, on to number 10. Heck yeah, dudes. Alright, at number 10, we have The Karate Kid. Now, I remember back in 10th grade, 10 and 10, okay, but back in 10th grade, this is actually, I consider this my favorite movie, besides Star Wars, of course, but I was like, this is my favorite movie. Now, it's still one of my favorite movies, though, not my second one, but yeah. This movie's such a great 80s movie, and it's an underdog story, which you gotta love underdog stories. And yeah, it's just got some really inspiring moments and stuff. Got a really awesome soundtrack, especially at the end when you've got "You're the Best Around," one of the most iconic songs I'd say in movies. And just the fights and stuff is really cool as well. And you just got to feel for Daniel, like he just wants to be a normal guy and stuff, and learn some karate and stuff. Beat up some normal people, like everyone does and stuff. Maybe not that last part, but you know what I mean. And the characters are also really memorable as well. I mean, you've got like Aoi, you've got Mr. Miyagi, such a classic character, and you've got I think his name is Johnny, and you've got like that jerk sensei guy. You just got to remember to sweep the leg, man. You just got to sweep it. But anyways, yeah, you've got some quotable moments from that as well, and just overall, just a very good movie. And the sequels aren't half bad too. Like the second one's pretty good. The third one, pretty good. The new one, let's not talk about that one. But hey, it does have Jackie Chan. That's pretty cool. Okay, so at number 9, this is the most recent movie on this list, and that is Baby Driver. I absolutely love this movie. When I first saw it in the theater, I saw it with my friend. He's like, "Hey, you want to see Baby Driver?" I was like, "Heck yeah, I do, son." At first I was like, "What the heck is this movie?" Then I saw the trailer. I was like, "Ooh, that seems pretty good." And I was like, I maybe I'll go see this by myself. And then my friend was like, "Yo, you want to see the movie?" I was like, "Heck yeah," and the rest is history. And watching it again was just like the first time. I was just as excited and just as amazed with the movie. It's got some really awesome car chase scenes and stuff. The whole thing is very amazing. It's very stylized. It's like a pseudo musical, which is something you really don't see that often. I mean, you've got like movies with great soundtracks, like you've got Guardians of the Galaxy. Those movies have some really awesome soundtracks, but I mean, this one just amazing. Everything just works together, meshes together really well. And I mean, Edgar Wright is probably one of my favorite directors, and yeah, he does an amazing job with this. And you can see there's a lot of passion behind this movie, because he's been waiting to make this movie since the 90s, and now he finally got the chance to do it, and there it is. Yes, amazing movie. I found that it was really easy to connect to Baby, because I mean, like, he just wants to get out of there. He doesn't want to live a crime-filled life. He wants to live a normal life, and he just listens to music all the time and stuff. Like, I listen to music like a bunch too, so yeah. Alright, so now at number 8 we have The Great Gatsby from 2013. This movie, man, oh, so good. I love the story too. The book that it's based off of is really good, and they do a great job in the movie too. As much as I like the one from the 70s, I think this one is just more entertaining in general. It's stylized. You've got some awesome actors. I mean, who doesn't like Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire? This is such an emotional movie. It's got some funny scenes as well, but it's pretty emotional. It's definitely a drama. And yeah, I've seen this movie like at least 11 times, and I just started watching it last year, so that tells you how much I really like this movie. I used to watch it like every month last year, like from I think it started in May, and then basically until December I watched it every month, and then I've watched it a couple of times this year too. So yeah, amazing movie. You could also say it's a great movie. Okay. Alright, number 7, man. Oh, dude, no way. The 7 Evil X's, number 7? Ha, I just noticed this now. Anyways, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, man. Another Edgar Wright film. I love Edgar Wright, man. He's such a great director, and he does an amazing job in this. Like, the attention to detail in this movie is incredible. Like, if you just watch this movie, just pay attention to all of the little signs and stuff, all of the little things and attention to detail. It's just amazing. I've never really seen a movie that had this much attention to detail, which was awesome. Very cool to see. And it has just a great story. It's got like your kind of underdog story as well. This guy has to defeat 7 evil exes to get with this girl. And it's got some fun characters and stuff, some very memorable characters, some great acting, and some really awesome scenes, like some really cool fights and stuff as well. And a lot of fun stuff. And I guess you could also kind of consider it a superhero movie, maybe a little bit. So, yeah. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend you seeing it. It's just such a great movie. You'll definitely enjoy it. And the movie is based off of a graphic novel series. Personally, I haven't read the graphic novel, but I've looked at some pages of it, and the movie is pretty darn accurate and pretty faithful to the comic. Now, there are some things that have changed, but some scenes are like basically exactly like the scenes in the graphic novels, like even the clothes and stuff, which is pretty impressive. And there's some pretty interesting facts in this movie as well. Like, for example, the actors don't blink in this movie. You'll notice that, which is really interesting, because Edgar Wright wanted it to seem more anime-ish, so that was pretty interesting. And then also, the Scott's band also had to learn how to play instruments, like, over a period of a month, which is pretty awesome. So all those songs are performed by the band. Well, the ones that are played by his band are performed by the band. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Anyways, let's move on to number 6, which is Batman. I mean, who doesn't like Batman? Batman's such an awesome, dark character. He's got some great stories, too, through the comics and through the movies. I'm just going to briefly discuss each Batman movie and tell you guys which one is my favorite. So, the first one that I haven't seen any ones before the 60s one. So, the 60s one is just such a goofy movie. It's just a very fun movie and very entertaining to watch. And you've got some very quotable moments as well. Like, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb and stuff. It's such a fun movie. I really like that movie. I need to rewatch that, by the way. It's just a very interesting premise too. Like they've got these like a group of I don't know, ambassadors or something, or the presidents and stuff of different countries, and they like want to make them into sand and stuff. It's very, very goofy, but it's a lot of fun. And honestly, gotta say, I really like the soundtrack too. And yeah, just some goofy moments in that movie, like the shark scene, shark repellent. Good stuff. Alright, and then you've got the more serious movies, which are the Tim Burton films, which is Batman from 1989 and then Batman Returns. And those movies are really good. They're very dark. They've got a little bit of a comic booky feel to it as well, and just a very gothic, dark feel that Tim Burton is renowned for. And yeah, just very good job. Michael Keaton plays Batman. He does an amazing job as Batman. And you've got some awesome performances too, like Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Very good. You've also got Jack Nicholson as the Joker, which is also really good as well. And yeah, and it's got an amazing soundtrack too by Danny Elfman. He does an amazing job with superhero movies, and he did an amazing job with this movie. And there's some super iconic pieces in this movie, music pieces. And honestly, this is another one of those movies that I can just like listen to the soundtrack. I might just want to relax and listen to the movie soundtrack stuff. It's either that, Pirates of the Caribbean, Spider-Man from 2000s, and Star Wars. Those are my favorite soundtracks. So yeah, great soundtracks in this movie, and some great performances, awesome story, and just overall fantastic. And then you've got the other ones with Val Kilmer, and then you've also got George Clooney. Well, I used to really like these movies. I used to think they were like absolutely amazing and like perfect back when I was a kid. Then one day I watched them, I was like, you know what, these movies are terrible. But they're still a lot of fun to watch. They're probably the most entertaining Batman movies, I'd say. They're just really funny. They've got some just really goofy scenes and stuff. And the music, though, is actually really good. I really like the music in this. And I like Chris O'Donnell as Robin. I think he does a pretty good job. And there's so funny moments in there. There's some really quotable moments as well. Just two funny movies that really shouldn't be taken seriously when watching them. Just view them as entertaining, not as like actually trying to be masterpieces. And they honestly, Warner Brothers thought they really had something with Batman and Robin when they released it. They're like, this movie is going to be the best. Well, yeah, yeah. Anyways, so now we've got the Christopher Nolan films, which are basically masterpieces. These are absolutely amazing. The first one is really good. The Dark Knight is probably the best. It's just such a good movie. It's more than just a superhero movie. It's just that good. And then The Dark Knight Rises is really epic as well. And yeah, these movies are fantastic. But personally, my favorite is actually Batman 89. Yes, believe it or not. I don't know what it is about that movie. I just really like it. The soundtrack is amazing. I mean, the soundtrack in the rest of the movies are really good too, but this one is absolutely perfect. And just everything about this movie, I really like it. Okay, so that's about it with Batman. We've talked about Batman for probably a solid 5 hours. So now let's move on to number 5, which is the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, since there are a lot of movies in this series, I'm just not going to talk about all of them, but when I first saw Civil War, I thought it was my favorite. I was like, this is amazing, this is so good, and it still is a very good movie, but personally my favorite is Iron Man, the very first one, the one that started the MCU off, and it's just such a great movie. Like the transition from Tony being like this billionaire playboy to like becoming a superhero and a responsible guy is great. Some great acting in this movie. It got a really cool soundtrack as well. And yeah, it's a very fun movie. And there are a lot of great movies in the MCU. There are some that are pretty okay, but the rest are pretty darn amazing. There hasn't really been a movie that I actually hated in the MCU. I really like all of the movies. I think they're all really well done. Some of them not as well, but still pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Okay, so now on to number 4, absolute classic and my favorite book series, Harry Potter. And I made a ranking on the Harry Potter movies. If you'd like to see that, it's on my channel. I made it a while ago, but it's still my same ranking that I would say today. But yeah, I really like those movies, and I think my favorite one is definitely The Chamber of Secrets. It is the longest one. It's probably the most faithful to the books as well. I mean, when you watch some of the movies, you like recognize quotes from the books, like direct quotes. So I think it was really awesome, really cool to see, because I mean, you have those fans like that have just seen the movies, and you have the fans that are fans of the books and the movies that have read the books countless times like me. And when I hear like a quote that I remember from the book in the movie, I'm like, hey, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, the second one, I just really like the story in this one. Most of them have like a sort of mystery element to them. This one has the biggest mystery to it, and I like how it's done. I mean, like, the movie could have been like really dark, because I mean, it's like you've got these kids that could be murdered by this like giant snake thing, but it doesn't really feel that dark. It has darker elements to it, but it doesn't like feel like overwhelmingly dark. It's really well done. And the music in these movies really good as well. Personally, my favorite music is the ones by John Williams, which is 1 through 3. After that, he left, but the rest of them still pretty good as well. Personally, I think my favorite soundtrack from the movies is in 3. I mean, you've got Buckbeak's Flight, and you've also got A Window for the Past, or whatever it's called, Window to the Past, something like that. Those are really good. There are also some really good themes in that one as well. But yeah, I think my favorite is the second one. I just absolutely love that one. And okay, I think that's about it with number 4, which was Harry Potter. And now we have number 3, another childhood movie of mine, which is Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man specifically. Now I think the first two have an absolute perfect balance between just like everything, honestly. The story is like really well balanced. You've got your comedic moments, you've got your like super dramatic moments, you've got some really cool action moments as well. It's just like really well balanced, and you just see the struggle of Peter Parker in his daily life as he's Spider-Man and as he's Peter Parker. And the cast did a fantastic job in the movies. And the movies have an amazing soundtrack by Danny Elfman, once again coming back with some super awesome superhero movie stuff. And yeah, the movies are just so amazing, and they're definitely some of my favorites. I even like the third one. I mean, the third one isn't the best, but it's still pretty good. And honestly, in some ways, I actually like it better than Homecoming. I mean, Homecoming was good, but I mean, it doesn't quite have that Spider-Man feel to it that these ones do, that these ones are masters at. And yeah, overall, just some amazing movies. And I used to watch these all the time as a kid. So, yeah, fantastic. Alright, at number 2, we have Indiana Jones. These are my absolute favorite action-adventure movies. We've got a super awesome score, once again by John Williams. We've got some great stories throughout the series. We've got some awesome moments, some hilarious moments, and you've got a great cast of characters. Alright, the first one, I'm gonna go through all of them real quick. So the first one, probably the most iconic out of all of them, but the others are still pretty iconic as well. But I mean, how many times have you seen that boulder chase scene in a movie? A lot of times probably, and it all came back from this. And the introduction to our main character, Indiana Jones, is probably one of my favorite character introductions. You just have like this scene where it's kind of mysterious. They're walking through the jungle. You don't know who's the main character yet unless you've like seen the poster. Like, oh, yeah, that's the main character. But then they go through the jungle, and then all of this stuff happens. And then Indy's looking at this map. He's got his back turned. He trusts these guys, I guess, more or less. And then all of a sudden, one pulls a gun on him, and he turns around, he whips it out of his hand, and then you get a close up of his face and epicness. Yes. And yeah, there's some great moments in this scene, like opening the Ark. You've got the truck chase, which is really awesome. And yeah, just so many great scenes and just a lot of great stuff in this movie. And then the second one was pretty good. I used to watch this one a lot because I wanted to be short round. But the second one is pretty good. It's probably my least favorite out of the original trilogy, if that's what you want to call it. But yeah, it's still pretty good. It's got an interesting story. Moram, the main villain, is a pretty interesting villain. He's got a lot of fear behind him. He's probably the most feared villain, I guess. He's like has all this mystic power and stuff, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, the villains throughout the movies are pretty darn good. Like, I mean, you've got Belloc in the first one, who's an awesome villain. You've got Moram, who's a very feared villain, I guess, more or less. He's kind of a mystic guy and stuff. And then you've got Donovan from the Last Crusade, who's a pretty cool villain as well. And then you've got Irina Spalko, who is she's a pretty decent villain. Alright, and then the third one. Now, the third one is my favorite. One of the main reasons is that the chemistry between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford is absolutely amazing as father and son. It's definitely my favorite father and son pair throughout any movie ever. It's just so good and so well done. And it's just so much fun to watch. And there are some amazing scenes, like the motorcycle scene. You've got the scene where they're breaking into the castle. And this is a castle, and we have many tapestries. And just like so many funny moments and some great iconic moments as well too. Like the choosing of the cup. That's probably been used a lot in movies as well, and like TV shows and stuff. When there you have a bunch of these cups, and you have to choose one. And yeah. So many great scenes, and has probably my favorite soundtrack in the Indiana Jones movies. It's got some really awesome music, so yeah. And then the fourth one was pretty good. I actually saw it twice in the movie theater. I've got some good memories of that. Like the first time I saw it with my parents, and then the second time it was just at my friend's birthday party. We went to see it. It was just me, him, one of his other friends, his sister, and his dad in the movie theater. That was it. There was nobody else there. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, some great memories from Indiana Jones. Just awesome. I always wanted to be Indiana Jones too. So alright, so number one, probably the most obvious one on my list, if you know anything about me, is my favorite movie of all time is Star Wars. Well, my favorite series of all time is Star Wars. Alright, so I'm just going to go for each movie real quick. So you've got the prequel trilogy, which I actually really like, because I grew up in the time when they were being released. I actually saw episode 3 in the movie theater, so that was pretty cool. And I even got to see episode 1 in the movie theater too, when it was re-released to 3D. That was pretty cool. And yeah, I actually do like the prequel trilogy. The first one, right, and then the first of the prequel trilogy, which was The Phantom Menace. And I really like this one. I used to watch it a bunch as a kid, so it has a lot of nostalgia for me. And yeah, I really wanted to be Little Annie, so I used to watch it a lot. I was like, yeah, I wish I was Little Annie. Even though he turns into Darth Vader, I'm not sure if I actually fully understood that or not. I probably did. I was like, you know what? I'd be fine being Darth Vader. He's a pretty cool character. But yeah. It's a pretty good movie. It's got some really awesome fight scenes. Got some pretty good dialogue. It's probably some of the best dialogue in the prequel series, or prequel trilogy, which is saying something. I really liked Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon. He was a pretty cool character. And all the other characters are pretty cool as well. I mean, Jar Jar is an okay character. He's not my favorite, but I don't dislike him because I kind of grew up with him, so... Yeah, you either have the people that grew up with him and kind of like him, but not really like him, and then you have the people that absolutely hate him that grew up with the original trilogy. So, but yeah, pretty good movie. He's got an amazing soundtrack, like usual, and the final duel is absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best duels in the prequel trilogy. So there you go. And then the second one is my least favorite Star Wars movie, but I still like it. I mean, it's still pretty enjoyable, even with the really awkward romantic dialogue from Anakin. It's just like, I wish I could just wish away my feelings like that, just like, what? But, yeah, it's still pretty decent. The battle with the Jedi in the Jedi Arena, or, well, the Geonosis Arena, is pretty awesome as well. And it's the first time we see, like, a huge, large-scale battle with, like, Jedi and stuff, so that was pretty cool. And it gave us the Clone Wars series as well, like the original Clone Wars series, and then the one from 2009. So yeah. Then we've got the last prequel, which is Revenge of the Sith, which is actually pretty darn good. I really like some of the scenes in this, like the Coruscant duel, the battle over Coruscant. That was really cool. There's a lot of lightsaber duels in this too, which is pretty awesome. Like the General Grievous duel is really good, and the one in the end is pretty good. It's pretty darn iconic too right now. It's got some really powerful music behind it too, like the Order 66 scene as well as a lot of powerful music, so that was really done well. And but yeah, it's a little goofy when you look at it because like how many times they miss and stuff, but it's still a pretty good scene. But the problem is that it doesn't really have that suspense like, oh, what's going to happen, because you already know what's going to happen since you've already seen that both characters are still alive in the next movie. So, but it's still a pretty fun scene. Yeah, overall it's a pretty good movie. And alright, so now on to Rogue One, which I really enjoyed. I've got to say, it has a little problem with pacing in the beginning, but after you get it past that part, it gets really good. So, yeah, it's a pretty fun film. Don't have much to say about it, but the Darth Vader scene was amazing. I loved it. At the very end, it was really cool, and yeah, it's really awesome. Alright, and then the original trilogy. Now, personally, this is my favorite set of Star Wars movies. I absolutely love the original trilogy. I think it was done extremely well and is absolutely amazing. Got some great stories, and yeah, I like watching it again and looking at the little details. Like this last time that I did a Star Wars marathon, I kind of paid attention to C-3PO and R2-D2's friendship, and it's actually really heartwarming when you like watch it all together. It's really good. And yeah, so I think personally my favorite, I either bounce between Return of the Jedi or A New Hope. I love the ending to Return of the Jedi. It just fills me with so much nostalgia, because I mean, wow, just that theme. The original theme was kind of weird, but the newer one, is one of my favorite themes from Star Wars, since it has just so much nostalgia for me. And you get to see all of the characters you love once again back in action in Return of the Jedi. You get introduced to some amazing characters in A New Hope. So yeah, I like both of them a lot. And I also really like Empire Strikes Back. I do admit that it's the best Star Wars film in the franchise thus far, and I don't think that's going to change. But personally, I like A New Hope and Return of the Jedi the best. And The Force Awakens was pretty awesome as well. I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm just going to kind of breeze past for that one and just say it was pretty darn good. Alright, anyways guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a pretty long video, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun making this, and maybe one day I'll make a new list, like maybe top 50 or something. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.